Hi everybody, welcome to Spice School. Today we're going to talk about cinnamon. Most cinnamon that you buy in the grocery store, you'd think there's only one type, but there are actually a few different varieties of cinnamon. So what I'm holding here is a cassia cinnamon. It's one of the most common types of cinnamon, but it was actually introduced a bit later than the cinnamon verum, which I'll talk about in a second. Cassia cinnamon is a little bit more of a clay brown color. It's a little bit harder. You can see the stick is super hard to break. I can't even break it with my fingers. It's grown in China and Southeast Asia, and it's much more pungent of a flavor. So when you get that kind of deep whiff of cinnamon that you get in cinnamon rolls or really any baked good flavored with cinnamon, it's more likely it's the cassia variety. This is the cinnamon verum, the true cinnamon, if you will. It's a little bit of a snarky name. It's a little bit easier to break down. As you can see, I can break it with my fingers. It's a little bit more of a darker, more muted color, muted brown. Also comes from the bark, similar, but it's a totally different tree. So this cinnamon is a little bit less pungent. It's great for flavoring, soups or stocks or meats. It's much more easier to break down, I guess, if you're putting in a mortar and pestle. The cassia variety, I would not recommend trying to break down. It's very difficult, much more kind of suited for buying ground and using in pastries and baked goods, which we'll use in a minute, actually. So these are the different types of cinnamon. You can buy others. There are other varieties too, but really these are the most common ones. Cassia especially dates back thousands of years. They used to use cassia cinnamon to embalm and mummify ancient Egyptian royalty, which is pretty cool. So a long history. And the best way to store cinnamon, I'd advise, is in an airtight container, whether it's the sticks or the ground type, and make sure it's in the dark. Light and oxygen are really the enemy of spices if you want them to last long, and these can last up to 2 to 3 years in containers like this. Just showing you some aniseed here. So let's get cooking. I'll start with our upside down apple cinnamon cake. See you in a bit.